Hello, everyone. My name is Anae Agostini. I'm CEO of CID Insurance Programs, and I want to welcome you to Insuring Convenience Stores, grocery, and liquor stores. That's a mouthful. Today, this webinar is going to be taught by Teresa Cochran, our commercial specialist. She specializes in this area of these classes of business, and also want to introduce Jacob Cole, who's our marketing coordinator. And he makes things run behind the scenes. So thank you, Jacob. So let's talk logistics. Everyone is by now, after being through COVID, has attended many a webinar, and everyone's going to be on mute, but you will be able to hear. But your voice is important to us, so please pose your questions in the chat room at any time, and we'll stop and answer your questions along the way. There's a short survey after the webinar, and we would really appreciate it if you would complete that. It's important also to hear your voice as far as how you thought the webinar was. So let's get started. Teresa today has got a few objectives that she wants to go over with you, accomplish with you. We want to better understand the important exposures of the convenience, grocery, and liquor stores, and what insurance that they need. You're going to learn about what coverages these classes of business need, and learn how to competitively go after these classes of business. Where is the sweet spot with these different classes of business? So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Teresa and let you get started.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. So why are we talking about these three classes of business today? What do they have in common? Why are we grouping them together? So, well, they're all retail stores. They sell food, beverage items, and miscellaneous household supplies, and they're all for typically off-premise consumption and use. They definitely do have similar property and liability exposures, which you will see as in the forthcoming slides. And they also have similar exposures such as hot food sales, delis, lottery sales, gasoline, auto repair, and car washes. And what do we need to know about successfully writing these classes of business? I've been underwriting these types of risks for over 15 years, and from what I've gathered is a lot of them are family-owned businesses. At least the ones that are within our sweet spot are those family-owned businesses. Definitely a cultural diverse community in ownership. They have multiple locations with common ownership, but under separate entities, which is very smart because if one of the risks comes across with a claim, it's not going to affect all of their locations. So I've noticed common ownership, separate LLCs, and once you get in with one of the owners, their brother, their cousin, their father, you start to really expand your policies in force because you're starting to write all of their different locations. And with those locations comes a lot of different coverages that they need, whether it be work comp, EPLI, maybe an umbrella to cover all of those locations. So that's really the key in successfully writing these classes of business, is really building up your policies in force. And the first type of risk I want to go over today were the liquor stores. So here's a little case study I put together. You see this liquor store on the corner, you go in, and you're thinking to yourself, is this a good one to go after? So here are a few tidbits of information to help you with that. So you kind of look around, see what they're selling. Is there a pride of ownership? Is it clean? Are there trip and fall exposures? Is there water stains on the ceiling? And as far as what they're selling, do you see any CBD, kratom, THC products? Those types of items are going to make it a little bit tougher to find a carrier for. Outside, they're usually advertising, all the types of liquor they're selling for, but do you see any check cashing services being advertised? That's another thing. That's that can be a little tough with some of your admitted markets to place. Um, and do they offer any third party delivery? Do they offer any delivery? Usually that will be advertised somewhere as well. It's kind of a new exposure. So some of the carriers haven't really updated their underwriting criteria for that. So it's just these little tidbits of information that will help you know whether or not it's something you can go after or not. So the risk that is within kind of our sweet spot, you know, the sales are going to be under 500K. 500,000 is kind of the benchmark. Anything over that, it almost puts you into I know it sounds silly, but a supermarket category. Um, so we're looking for things under 500,000 in sales. We can definitely do things higher than that. Just our market selection gets a little bit tighter. And we're going to go after the one that does have check cashing. And even on-premise tastings. I went into a liquor store, and sure enough, someone was serving tequila, little shots of tequila. They were trying to promote their liquor. So it does happen, and it's something to definitely ask your clients about, so that gosh, well, now they need liquor liability, and am I going to be able to find a market that can provide that coverage when they're doing on-premise tasting? Because typically liquor stores, they're selling for off-premise consumption. So liquor liability is definitely something to bring up with that client. Claims are generally low for that type of risk, for that type of exposure. However, it leads to really high payouts because typically we're talking about fatality situations when it comes to liquor liability. So that's a big thing to not overlook when you're speaking with that owner. Other coverages, definitely general liability, standard, business personal property, business income, equipment breakdowns, another great thing, great coverage to sell because they have all of those refrigerated items. And the workers' comp and EPLI, always great exposure or great coverages to sell, to cover their employees. The second case study I wanted to go over today, your grocery store. We have a lot of grocery stores, international markets, all your corner stores that are going to be selling not only maybe liquor, but definitely food. So you walk in, the first thing I would be looking for is there a cooking exposure? Is there a deli, maybe a taqueria? Are there any other vendors inside of that store? Maybe a little jewelry counter, something like that. Their hours of operation, that's definitely an important factor that carriers are always looking for answers on. The size of the operation. How large is this grocery store? Is it under 3,000 square feet? Is anything over that 3,000 mark, again, is going to put you into that supermarket category. So now supermarkets, 3,000 square feet or over 500,000 in sales. Anything under that, we can definitely look at under this grocery store class code. And then similar to the previous liquor store case, are they offering check cashing or delivery? Because that will minimize the market that we can go after for this class of business. So definitely the ones in our sweet spot are going to be the international markets. We can do liquor or without. For this example, I'm doing no liquor, and the sales are under 500,000. They do have a deli inside there with some cooking, but there's no table service. So this one, international market with a cooking operation, fast food type of thing. There are some tables, but there's no table service, so we don't have a restaurant exposure. So the coverages needed for this type of risk, very similar to the liquor store, your general liability, business personal property, the business income. And I added in 10 improvement betterments for this one because of that deli operation with the cooking. You're going to have more equipment that the owner is going to be bringing in that they would want coverage for, and equipment breakdown, and then food spoilage. If there is any type of power outage, they have a lot of food in there, a lot of perishable food items that they're going to want to have coverage for. So food spoilage is definitely a big one to take into account. when you're working with that business owner. And lastly, convenience stores. All kinds of convenience stores. There's convenience stores attached to gas stations. I even saw a convenience store, um, not only in a strip mall but in an actual shopping mall. Um, and they're all they all vary. Some have the cooking exposure, some don't. So we're looking around. Is there any cooking? What are their hours of operation? Are they 24-hour, or are they open past midnight? Are they selling any of the CBD, kratom, THC products, check cashing, a lot of similar things that we looked at previously? And for convenience stores, a big one, do they have any surveillance cameras? Is there an alarm system? Theft coverage is very hard to come by for the convenience stores. So having that information um, will help on my end find some theft coverage for your client.
Teresa, there's a question
Yeah,
that came in.
sure.
What if a convenience store is connected to a motel?
Okay, so I would want to know, is it the same owner? Is the owner of the convenience store also own the motel, or is it separate ownership? If it's the same owners, same entity, then we would have to find a market that can write a motel with a convenience store. I know hotel motel is a hard exposure to write right now. My coworker Michelle is actually the underwriter for the motel, so I would have to confer with her to see if we have a market right now for those motels. If they are separate entities, then we would just write the convenience store and leave off the motel, because they're both going to have, there'll be separate entrances for the convenience stores and the motel. If there's not a separate entrance, we would just want to, and they are separate entities, we would make sure that the motel has coverage, and then we would still just write that convenience store location and exclude the motel exposure. I hope that answers your question. All right. In our convenience store case study, the one I'm going to present is where the client owns the building. And not only do they own the building, they're also managing the convenience store that's in there and the gas station that's outside. And connected to the convenience store is an oil and lube shop, which is not owned by our client. That is actually a leased out space. And this is also a 24-hour operation. So there's a lot of things to consider here. Not only do we own the building, we're managing that convenience store, we're managing this gas station, and we have a lesser's risk exposure because the oil and lube shop is being rented out to somebody else. So a couple more questions to think about. Does the oil and lube shop tenant, do they have their own general liability coverage in force? If not, we need to get them insured, or else it's going to be really hard for us to find coverage for this building with the LRO exposure. So that the oil and lube shop definitely needs to have that GL coverage in place. And because this is a 24-hour operation, we need to know how many workers are on site overnight. Is there only one worker? Are there two workers? Each carrier has their own underwriting criteria when it comes to 24-hour establishments. Is there a drop safe on the premise to make sure that that cash is protected during these 24 hours? And excuse me. And then when it comes to the gas sales, some carriers rate on sales, some rate on the number of gallons sold. So just a couple of things to keep in mind when you're gathering in all your information. And the coverage
There's another
sure.
coverage or question, Teresa.
Okay.
Do we offer coverage for convenience store with real estate, building?
Absolutely. So in this case, you would definitely want to get building coverage, and I forgot to add it on this bullet point. So thank you for that. Yes, we would want to get their building covered, their property items, the canopy and the awning. So you're pumping gas, and that structure that's over you, that is the canopy and or awning. Those are very expensive. Gas pumps, they would want to get coverage for your equipment breakdown. Food spoilage, depending on what they have inside of their little convenience store. But yes, building coverage is definitely something we can offer for these types of risks. So, and I just went over that slide. I'm sorry.
Oh, thanks. Sorry.
Sorry about that. And to help you gather all this information, to get your competitive quote from us, we do have a one-page convenience and grocery store supplemental that we ask for, along with the Acord application. So you got your Acord 125, and then the 126 for the liability, and the 140 for the property information. If they have lost runs, fantastic. It helps me offer any credits that I can get my hands on. And we are definitely able to consider new ventures, new purchases, risks with lapses in coverage. We see those all the time, so that's not a problem. But definitely that grocery store supplemental is key for me. It has a lot of those underwriting criteria that we went over today, along with those Acord apps.
Okay, and there is another question, Teresa.
Okay.
Do you write C stores at Shelby, parentheses, Memphis County, Tennessee, and do you write in fire protection classes 9 and 10 in Tennessee?
That is definitely something my carriers can consider. Excuse me. The amount of building coverage or property coverage TIV is definitely going to come into account, but it would just be a submit to my underwriters. But I know that we've definitely done it before. There may just be a maximum amount of coverage we can offer in those areas.
Excellent. Excellent.
Any other
Okay. So thank you, Teresa. That was really good information. I'm going to take a couple minutes and basically, now that Teresa's got you pointed in the right direction on how to go write these classes of business, convenience, grocery, and liquor stores, I just wanted to say, let's talk about how you put together a professional presentation once you've gotten a quote from Teresa. And our website, cidinsuranceprograms.com, it definitely it has a lot of tools. It's designed for brokers that do business with us, and we have lots of templates. And this is a proposal template that could be very helpful for you for not only these classes of business, but also definitely other classes of business that you might write. And we have a lot of customized ones. These are Word documents, they're templates, and the pink area is basically to be filled out for each new presentation that you're going to make. And you just save your template as a template, and save each proposal to a separate file, and so you can use this over and over again. So I recommend going to our website. It's under broker tools, under templates, and so you'll see everything that we've got there. But this is a great way to do a professional presentation without having to reinvent the wheel, because it's a lot of work. There's so many different kinds of commercial risks out there. Lastly, at least for your presentation, I would recommend, especially with these classes of business, where you can, I would charge a broker fee, and we offer in our template section a fee agreement that makes it really easy for you, spells it out, they sign it, and you earn your broker fee that way. So take a look at our templates on the website as well, in order to be able to find that template and use it.
A question came through that I wanted to address before we close.
Perfect.
The question is, when you say coverage for less than $500K, do you mean the total annual business, including gas sales, liquor, lottery, etc.? The carriers do not include gas sales in that $500,000. So if you have a convenience store with gas, they're mainly looking at the sales inside of the convenience store, not including any of the gas sales. I hope that answers your question.
Perfect. So if you have any additional questions, please chat them in, and Teresa will answer them. Even if they come in afterwards, we can get those answered for you and get it and sent to you by email. So just so everybody knows, I talked about some proposal templates, a broker fee template that you can use. We have lots of other tools on our website. If you want to go after this class of business, maybe you're going to buy maybe you're going to buy some lists where that you have email addresses where you want to email out, or you want to personally contact. We've got marketing tools on our website that where you could put your information on it and use it for marketing. Usually it's used virtually, but you can definitely print it out and take it in as a tool as part of a presentation once you've customized it with your agency information. In addition, we have lots of webinars recorded webinars on our website, and you could go on and watch them at your leisure as if you were here as you are today watching it. And there's lots of different classes of business that we'll teach you about, and lots of different coverages like EPL and cyber and E&O that you can at your leisure learn about. Also on our website, if you don't want to spend a half hour, you can. We've got little short 2 to 5 minute videos that you can watch on things that you want to learn about. Maybe it's just a coverage and you just want to brush up on something. So that's also on our website. And I believe that's all on our education page. Under broker tools. So Teresa is a really good underwriter and wonderful to work with. So please reach out to her reach out to her directly if you have any questions, or just start submitting today, and she'll get you those quotes out for you right away. I want to thank everyone for joining us. I don't think I see any more questions, and we look forward to doing business with you. And those of you that are already on, doing business with us, thank you for doing business with us. All right. Thank you. Have a great day.